The whisper. Lena didn't know what she had done to deserve this. Her life was going great. New job, beautiful new flat with very affordable rent. But something wasn't right. At first, it was barely noticeable. A soft tap at the window on nights when the wind didn't blow. A flutter in the curtains when the house was still. She felt it. She felt something, watching, waiting, judging. People said the whisper only came for those who had something to lose, something to fear, something to break. She had done everything right. She didn't remember inviting it in. She never opened the door, never left the window ajar. But somehow, it lived there now, tucked between the coat rack and the kitchen clock. It didn't scream or shout, it just whispered. On days she was in a rush,
You'll forget something important.
went out with friends,
They're already tired of you.
when she was already 4 miles down the road.
Are you sure you locked the door?
At first, she'd try to ignore it, blasting music, filling the house with fake laughter, drowning it out with busy hands and blinking screens. But the whisper always waited. It didn't mind the noise. It thrived in the quiet between distractions. It was clever like that. Some days it was smaller, a flicker in her chest. Other days it grew tall and crooked, standing behind her in the mirror while she brushed her teeth.
Is that blood on your toothbrush, Lena? That's serious.
A faint shadow in the seat next to her in the lecture hall.
You're falling behind. Work and uni? Why did you think you of all people could juggle both?
The more she tried to push it away, the worse the taunting became.
Your heart's beating fast, Lena. You'll need your phone ready for when you have that heart attack. Then again, you'll probably not reach it in time.
It would say with an ominous giggle. She spoke to her friends in vague metaphors and hypotheticals to gauge if they could hear it too. But they couldn't understand.
They won't understand, Lena. I'm not the problem here. It's you. If you talk about me, they will think you're crazy. Are you crazy, Lena?
She asked her doctor once if they could remove it. Cut it out. Trap it in a jar. The doctor gave her breathing exercises and a referral. But not a knife.
How will breathing help you when you can't breathe? Remember how you can't breathe, Lena. That oxygen you're breathing. It's not enough, is it?
Lena stopped leaving the house. It stayed quieter when she was inside. If she was in, it couldn't predict her tripping over and embarrassing herself, or fill her head with noise so she couldn't speak properly. Lena stayed trapped in her new flat. But although the whispers were quieter, its inky blackness coated the walls, the ceiling, the floor. It flowed over furniture enveloping her bathroom so she couldn't wash, her bedroom so she couldn't sleep in there, and her phone so she couldn't call anyone. Not like anyone would want to hear from her anyway. It told her as much. Then one morning, with the curtains still closed and the clocks all blinking, a letter dropped through the slot. It landed with a soft thunk against the floorboards. Lena didn't rush to open it. She stared at it from the couch, curled in a blanket that hadn't moved in days. The whisper slithered around it, coating the envelope in oily dread.
It's nothing.
It hissed.
They won't help you. They never do. Don't get your hopes up, Lena. You'll only make it worse.
But something about that envelope was louder than the whisper that day, louder than the silence. She crawled across the floor and picked it up with shaking fingers. A referral, a real appointment. The whisper shrieked. It wrapped around her shoulders like wet tar, weighing her down like an anchor. It slinked across the walls, howling.
They'll laugh at you. They'll see how broken you are. You'll mess it up, like always.
But Lena stood up. The whisper clung to her legs, to her back, to the hallway door. It filled the air, making it too thick to breathe. She forced her way forward, the mist of the thing like walking through jelly. Her hand clung to the door handle, but she opened it. She stepped out. The light stung her eyes. The world felt loud. Her hands trembled. But she had the letter in her coat pocket. She had her keys. She had enough. The whisper followed, of course. It always would.
You didn't brush your hair, Lena. People will see you looking like that, Lena.
But for the first time, it trailed behind her, and she didn't stop walking. Lena stepped into the waiting room. Her coat was still buttoned wrong. Her socks didn't match. The whisper reminded her of this constantly. She sat with her knees together, hands tucked between them like a child in trouble. Across from her, a wall of motivational posters smiled back. Bright colors, smiling faces. Words like, "You are not your thoughts." "Breathe in. You're doing better than you think." "You made it." The whisper hissed. It slithered over the carpet, up the chair legs and onto the walls. It tried to obscure the posters, thick and smoky, like grief in gas form. It wrapped itself around the hopeful phrases like ivy around a dying tree. And Lena sat back, defeated. The psychiatrist called her name, and both her and the whisper entered her room. Lena sat in the same seat she had sat several weeks earlier. The whisper sat next to her. It no longer enveloped the room, but it made its presence known when it needed to. She glanced at the posters once hidden by the thing. It angled its withering body, obscuring her vision. But Lena wanted to read one. She focused, really focused. "I want to read that one," she whispered to herself. And the whisper shifted. It didn't vanish, but it moved, like fog parting when headlights cut through. She leaned forward and read, "You are not alone." And the fog recoiled. The receptionist called her name. Lena stood slowly, heart hammering, skin prickling with awareness. The whisper tried to claw at her throat, drag her back down. But she knew. She was in control. She took a step, and then another, and the whisper stayed seated. It would wait. It always did, but it no longer owned her. Not entirely. Because Lena, she was walking towards something else. If this story felt familiar, you're not alone. Anxiety doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. If you're battling your own fog, remember, taking one step is still progress. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, or subscribe. It really helps get the channel out there. There are links in the description to my Patreon if you'd like to join. There are some cool benefits over there. Like most of you, I've still got my own fog clinging to me. That's why I use text-to-speech to narrate my stories. Credits from 11 Labs aren't cheap, so if you'd like to help keep the voices flowing, there's also a link to Buy Me a Coffee. Even £1 helps keep these stories coming. Thank you for listening. It helps me keep telling the stories too many people are scared to say out loud. And if you need a sign to reach out for help, this is it. Thanks for listening.